Hi guys, welcome to Weekend Movie Channel. 2019 was just great for all movies enthusiasts. So many pretty good films at once didn't come out for a long time, which is encouraging. We decided to collect the top of the best films which we think will be interesting for you, and can also serve as a memo just to make sure you won't miss an excellent movie. The top was made by our personal opinion, but we understand that other worthy movies remained overboard. Write down in the comments what do you think should be added to the list and which movie you like the most. So let's get back to the top. Ad Astra. Perhaps the best fantasy of the year, but this film is quite different from what you've seen in a trailer. Here's what's going on according to the plot. Somewhere in a near future, Brad Pitt flies towards Neptune in a spaceship to check out the strange burst of energy that threatened the Earth and the entire solar system. He flies there on behalf of NASA. They are convinced that the mysterious cataclysm are connected with the father of the character Pete, who disappeared without a trace many years ago during the top-secret Project Lima. If you're expected to see a blockbuster stuffed with the special effects and science fiction, then you should be prepared for something else. This film has action, science, and great special effects, but first of all, it's a drama about loneliness, resentment, and personal rethinking, set in the scenery of the near future and cosmic movements. This film can even be described as a cosmic road movie filled with thoughts about life, family, and mission. The film is interesting, and the main merit in this is Brad Pitt. He managed to translate to the screen a logic, strong, but at the same time living character who is experiencing himself and making the viewer worry. A great movie which is definitely worth a look. 10th place, Ad Astra. Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep is a continuation of the real horror movies classic The Shining. The well-known director Mike Flanagan, who had previously been a screenwriter and director of the series The Haunting of Hill House, undertook such work. He had already worked on the adaptation of Gerald's Game, which is also based on the novel by Stephen King. And also he directed such good horror films as Hush and Oculus. In general, he is familiar with the genre of horror firsthand, and opportunity to remove the continuation of The Shining received deservedly. Here's what's going on according to the film plot. Danny Torrance sunk to the underworld 40 years after nightmarish events at the Overlook Hotel. Alcohol, drugs, and no meaning to life. But one day, he pulls himself together, ties up addictions, and later gets acquainted with the girl Abra, who possesses abilities similar to what Danny has himself. Abra is in danger because a group of energy vampires is hunting her, and Danny decides to defend her. The movie turned out great. In fact, this is a rare case when the sequel to such a successful original turns out to be a worthy film. The tape managed to preserve the atmosphere, complement the world creating in The Shining, and tell a new interesting story. The viewer can nostalgic and at the same time feel the freshness of ideas. The movie frightens, amuses, energizes where it's required, and most importantly remains interesting for all its 2.5 hours. Excellent continuation. And 9th place, Dr. Sleep. The Irishman. Martin Scorsese's new film with his favorite gangster movie Them. However, this film differs from the usual impudent and dynamic film of the director. This film is not about steepness and dashing, not about dizzying ups and downs, but about the path to loneliness and the end that is inevitable. The protagonist is Frank Sheeran, nicknamed the Irishman, played by Robert De Niro. He is a World Second War veteran who first worked as a truck driver and then became the person who paints the walls, which means killer in a gangster slang. After someone's being shot as a victim, the walls of houses sometimes get bloody. The second important character, Jimmy Hoffa, is played by Al Pacino. Hoffa, the American trade union leader who disappeared without a trace under mysterious circumstances in the 1975. And the third hero is Joe Pesci, who plays the gangster Russell Bufalino. All three are symbols of gangster cinema, and the film is a kind of generalization of the passing era. The old men give a masterclass class in acting, although in a film moment considering the young years of the characters. De Niro's still noticeably unfinished, rejuvenated face and his awkward movements in dynamic sense still affect age. The second aspect, which is perceived as a minus, is the timing of 3.5 hours. All the same, it's hard to squander such a time observing an interesting but slowly developing story. The rest is a masterfully delivered film with an excellent atmosphere of different years, started from the 50s, a chic soundtrack and the legendary cast. 8th place, The Irishman. Marriage Story. More recently, Netflix released the second most significant and expected movie of the year after Scorsese's Marriage Story, directed by Noah Baumbach. The director is not very famous, who often acted as a screenwriter. His most famous work is the excellent cartoon Fantastic Mr. Fox. However, I'm sure that soon Marriage Story will become his visiting card, a film that isn't much popularized but it's worth your attention. The main part of the film is devoted to the difficult relationship between Nicole and Charlie and the way they try to survive through a divorce. Nicole moves to Los Angeles to resume her career while her husband remains in New York for the sake of his work. Their son Henry left naturally with his mother, so Charlie has to fly across the country to spend time with the boy. Divorce comes more painful when lawyers enter the case. Nicole chooses the clever and manipulating Nora, and Charlie chooses the hard and unprincipled Jay. This is a sentimental, touching, and heartwarming story. Maybe the viewer will even become uncomfortable because he will be forced to position himself on the movie characters and evaluate his own life, comparing himself with their actions. However, we love movies because of that. This movie was enthusiastically received at the Venice Film Festival. Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver received Oscars nomination for their roles. 7th place, Marriage Story. Jojo Rabbit. This is a new film by the director and screenwriter Taika Waititi, famous for the excellent comedy What We Do in the Shadow and the slightly controversial but commercially successful third Thor Ragnarok, which many condemned for excessive humor. The new Waititi's movie talks about the inner world of 10-year-old boy named Jojo, who lives in Berlin during World Second War, destroyed by propaganda, and the boy's imaginary friend is Hitler himself. One day, Jojo meets a Jewish girl, and this changes his attitude towards Nazism. Apparently, because of some characters, some countries decided not to show this movie without understanding, which in our opinion is very stupid. Since the film is an anti-war and anti-fascist work, Nazism is shown as part of harsh satire and condemnation in this movie, and compassion and love for person are more highlighted. The film is excellent, vivid characters played by wonderful actors, Sam Rockwell, Scarlett Johansson, and Taika Waititi himself. The youngest actors also cope well with their work. Children behave sincerely, fear, worries, curiously, and friendship, everything looks real. So, our advice is not to miss this kind of funny and touching movie, which was done with the soul and which you will definitely like. 6th place, Jojo Rabbit. Knives Out. The film was directed by famous Rian Johnson, responsible for the well-received by the audience Looper, several episodes of the series Breaking Bad and Star Wars The Last Jedi. Rian is famous for his love of twists and playing with genre conventions, and given that his new film is detective story, there is a lot of plot twists and a fresh look at the genre. On the occasion of the 85th anniversary of the famous detective novelist Harlan Thrombey, his entire loving family gathers in his large mansion. However, the next day the birthday man is found dead in his room. Everything indicates suicide, and numerous grieving relatives are already preparing to share the estate left by the old man. The suicide investigation is formal, but he is suddenly joined by the famous detective Benoit Blanc. Someone clearly doesn't believe that the old man himself cut his throat and anonymously attract his brilliant detective. The film boasts an outstanding cast. The role of the detective is played by Daniel Craig, and the Thrombey's family included Christopher Plummer, Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, and other great actors. All the characters are well written and open-ended, and soon you will understand who is a friend and who better to stay away from. But on the other hand, the movie is a good twisted, and you can be sure of anything. The film turned out to be a fascinating, smart, funny, and damn stylish. At least the house with a million small parts, things, and accessories worth your attention. With this movie, Rian Johnson completely rehabilitated for the previous misfire, breathed life into a genre that was not very popular in recent years. 5th place, Knives Out. Ford v Ferrari. One of the high-profile films of the year was directed by James Mangold, the director with worthy pictures behind him: Logan, Girl Interrupted, Identity, and our dearly beloved 3:10 to Yuma. Mangold's new film tells the real story of the rivalry between Ford and Ferrari, considered an American car designer Carroll Shelby and the brave British racer Ken Miles. They will have to design a completely new Ford sport car, then to try to win the Ferrari team in the Le Mans 24-hour race. This film is simply overwhelmed with virtues ranging from the chic action of the actors to the sprightly staging of racing scenes. In this story, there was a place for friendship, relationships and marriage, and corporate bosses who strive to the forefront, reminding that the races begin in their offices. The movie is designed for the mass audience, which you can safely watch with the whole family. Personally, the movie reminded us of the good old films that were shot with the soul and which are less and less appearing on the screen. 4th place, Ford v Ferrari. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The 9th Tarantino's movie has drawn a lot of criticism. They say quitting is already not the same. The film is boring, long, and getting bored on it as easy as shelling beers. But to understand what is happening and involvement in history, you need to be aware of the horrible events of August 1969. I think everyone has already heard that you need to be prepared before watching, so I won't stop at this point. I can only say that for a trained viewer, the film becomes a time bomb. Knowing what it's about, understands what is happening, who is in danger, and who is actually represents this danger. However, knowing the story, you only accept the rules of Quentin's game, and then the director throws out such tricks for which it's impossible to be prepared. And at this moment you realize this is the same Tarantino. The film contains all the director's trademarks: humor, dialogues, sarcasm, traditional attention to detail, and love for cinema in general and for Hollywood in particular. Well, stars of the first magnitude, of course. Most of all, I would like to mention Brad Pitt and his excellent play. And also the decoration is the best, styled under the era of 60s. Each Tarantino's film is a gift for a viewer, and this tape was no exception. 3rd place, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Joker. The main film is the revolution of this year. Comic movie turned out the idea of this genre. Todd Phillips, who has previously shown with comedy film like Hangover and Due Date, changed course and made, at the moment, the best film of his career. Phillips showed that comic book movie don't have to be childish, and that comics can shine as part of the social drama rather than a usual blockbuster. The hero of the film, Arthur Fleck, is a typical loser. He lives with his mother, gets pennies, and his dreams crash day after day. In the backyard of Gotham, turned by corruption and human hatred, he is still trying to bring joy and laughter to the world, to be a real friendly clown. However, people are cruel. They don't understand the guy, they don't laugh at his jokes. They shy away from him in the streets, put their footboards, kick back and mock. Yes, Arthur is not like everyone else and he doesn't have a very happy past. But this doesn't prevent him from time to time making attempts to join the society, which is no longer worth a single effort. This city doesn't need a hero, this city needs justice. Well, or an explosion that sweeps away dirt, loneliness, and decayed morality. This is a strong author's film, full of cruelty, violence, and injustice, which is simply doomed to become a cult. The stunning play of Joaquin Phoenix has revived one of the most important characters of DC. After his last ridiculous appearance in the movie, and the effort of the Phoenix simply cannot be ignored at the coming movie award. This movie becomes a new round in the development of film comics and is rightfully considered one of the best films of the year. The film has already received 2 awards at the Venice Film Festival, and Joaquin Phoenix already got his award at the Oscars. Second place, Joker. First place, Parasite. The author's new film, Memories of Murder, was awarded the Golden Palm of the 72nd Cannes Film Festival. He collected a bag of Oscars and definitely became one of the main movie of the year. This film tells about a family of losers from slum forced to steal Wi-Fi from their neighbors, bring the phone to the ceiling to catch a network, and at the dinner consisting of beer and snacks, admire the marvelous view of local alcoholics who relieve themselves in a corner overlooking window at the apartment. There is no money as well as prospects for their extraction. And now, once there is a chance to change their life with the help of fraud, which consists of paradising a wealthy family. The film is praised for a reason. The scenario is really ingenious. It's simply impossible to predict what will happen next. The social problems raised in the movie are relevant and understandable through the world. It's unusual that the movie cleverly jumps by genre, and thus is divided into parts. From comedy to satire, from satire to thriller, from thriller to drama. And during each part, the rest of the parts are present. This is a multi-layer and small movie, which was highly appreciated by both critics and ordinary viewers around the world. First place, Parasites. Well, this is it. Thanks for watching. Share your movie impression in the comments below. We hope that you enjoyed our top 10. If so, then don't forget to subscribe and put the big thumbs up. See you soon. Bye.